So what you're looking at here, in my estimation, could go down in history as the best product Govee has ever made. This brand new Skyline kit's designed to add modern lighting in areas you never thought possible in a way you've never seen before. Now I know this is extremely high praise, but by the end of this video, I promise you're going to be just as excited as I am, and your mind is going to be thinking about all the different ways and places you could set this up in your home. So without further ado, let's jump right in. It comes with a 24 volt, 1.5 amp power supply. You have the controller, some cable management clips in a small level, a hex wrench, and some small drywall plugs with screws. For the LED strip, I'm happy to report that they include their flagship model, which is the same one found in the Strip Light 2 Pro kit. This strip has their patented Lumen Blend color control chip, which allows for smoother color transitions, higher color range, and it's able to tap into the dedicated warm and cool white LEDs when displaying colors for greater accuracy and just an overall better looking color than pretty much any other strip out there. And if you're wanting to see a much more detailed look at how this LED strip performs, I did a comparison video that I'll link in the description that you can check out if interested. Next is where things start to get interesting. This is a flexible steel profile with an aluminum heat dispersion track down the middle. And the idea is that this can be installed between any two surfaces, pointed in any direction, creating an ambient light source that looks like nothing the consumer space has ever seen before. Flipping it over to the front side, it has a nice white textured finish that'll blend in nicely with my room since most of them are painted white. I'll get back to this here shortly, but the last thing we have is the wall mounting hardware. This is what we'll eventually be connecting the steel channels to and cranking them tight to get rid of any slack. And finally, some caps that will cover up the screw holes to give it a nice clean look. Now to get this installed, the first thing you'll be doing is enrolling the entire steel track so that it's laid out flat. Next, measure in from the end 7.5 centimeters and make a mark. Then install the LED strip, but make sure you use that 7.5 centimeter mark as your starting point for the lights, which you'll see why here shortly. Once that's done, take the piece that looks like this and run the wire through the center and then slide the steel profile into the opening until it's flush with the end, and then take your hex screws to get everything locked in place. And although it's very unlikely to happen even if you're not looking, make sure you're not screwing these directly on top of the cord. I'll zoom in so you can get a better look at this step. From here, take the piece with the sphere at the end and run it through the base. Fish the rest of the wire through the pieces like I'm doing here, and then you can hold the side that has the LED strip in it and twist the other until you can no longer see the two screw holes. Now what's so fun about this is that you have to actually do a little bit of work to get this set up, and I feel like this is definitely going to be a great product for people to gain a little bit of DIY confidence to take on more challenging projects down the road. And once we get these secured, you'll be able to pick what side you want the cord coming out of. Next, I'll be using the included guide, which has the recommended distance from the wall and marking the 4 places where I'll be drilling to mount the base. And a best practice, if possible, would be to find a stud so you can screw directly into that and not rely solely on the drywall anchors. I'll now be taking the beginning base piece and removing the sticky pads and lining it up with the places I marked on the wall. And since I do have a stud here, I'll be drilling the screws directly into that and not needing the drywall anchors on this side, which is nice. For the other side of the wall, I'm going to be doing my best to line everything up so that it's in the same spot. And this is for sure where a laser level would come in handy so I wouldn't have to do this manually. Once I've marked the 4 areas, since I don't have a stud over here, I'll be using a 3/16 drill bit to make the holes to fit the drywall anchors in. I'll quickly jump back here to go over how to get things connected on the ending side, since you'll have to cut this to length depending on how big the distance is. First, slide in the metal piece just like we did on the other side. So let's say your ending base is right here. You would first be pulling the frame tight and then lining up the screw holes so that they'd be hidden in the end cap. Mark the spot on the channel where it's flush with the threads. You would then pull the LED strip up and cut the steel section off with a sharp pair of scissors. You would then find the closest cut point on the strip to the left, and this is where you would shorten the lights. I'll then use the hex screws just like we did on the beginning side to get the piece attached to the profile. So back to our wall, and I'll get the base unit screwed in. And again, this side I'm only using the included drywall anchors and screws. Now just like I went over previously, I'll be sliding the end piece on and then pulling everything tight. Once my mark is made, I'll then be cutting the steel channel and LED strip down to the length I need. Then it's just a matter of holding the LED strip side in place and screwing them together until the slack is gone. Depending on how picky you are with the wires, you'll probably want to do something with the cables. I'll be running some raceway tracks up the side to hide the wires, but I'm already thinking of ways I could possibly run stuff behind the drywall so that it looks like the house came with this built in. So a couple things I wasn't prepared for was just how much this was going to light up the entire room as well as how vibrant the colors were. Now, part of that is definitely me having white walls, but part of it simply the fact that Govee chose to use their best LED strip in the Skyline kit, and the results speak for themselves. And you'll probably be spending the most time in animations, where there's a ton of different options to choose from, with many of them giving you the ability to control the speed of movement. Now, besides the fact that you can install these anywhere you want and at any angle, you can further customize the lights by rotating the steel channel 360 degrees to point in any direction. Here I'll be turning them so that the lights are shining directly up at the ceiling, and you can see how that changes the look. And then again when I rotate them back down so they're facing the wall. I'll cycle through a couple of my favorite effects so you can get a better idea of how awesome the colors are with this strip and their Lumen Blend technology. Now, since this product does have dedicated whites, it's actually quite impressive just how bright this one single Skyline kit is able to light up this room. Now, even though all ambient lighting products aren't designed to be the primary light source, you could certainly get away with it, especially if you put up a couple of these in a room like this. Another feature I love playing around with is the DIY functionality. It lets you first pick between a bunch of different effects, and one of my favorite ones ended up being the rainbow. You can choose the different colors that you want included, and then the speed of the animation. So if you don't find the specific look that you want in their included scenes, make sure to hop over to the DIY section to customize one exactly how you want. Something else worth pointing out is their autoplay option. Click more and then go to create next to autoplay. Let's say you wanted to create a bedtime routine. I want the playback order to be sequential, and I'll run this in a loop. Then for lighting effects, I'm going to grab 3 of my favorite ones to add, and then I can individually choose the time I want them to run for. You can hit the checkbox, and when you turn this on, it'll run those 3 effects for the time you wanted on a loop. At this point, I'd already seen enough to know that I wanted to put some more of these up. And just like any questionable project idea I have that involves a space where my wife and I share, I waited until she left the house to begin. My brilliant idea is to be able to turn these on at night and look up and have a northern lights type atmosphere on the ceiling of our bedroom. I staggered these slightly, installing one at 6 inches and one at 7 inches from the ceiling. This is definitely higher than where I put them in my gaming room, but I didn't want to have to duck while walking. And this room is a little bit bigger than my gaming space, so I used a couple of their 6-meter kits instead of their 4-meter option. Now, in full transparency, my wife wasn't as thrilled about this new addition to our room as I was, but I reminded her that it took 2 years for her to fall in love with me, so it only makes sense for her to give these lights a couple years as well. So having these on at full brightness really isn't a use case I'm wanting them for, but if you're wondering if you could get away with using these as your primary light source, here's what the room looks like with no lights on other than the 2 Skylines. For ambient lighting with the brightness way down, it turned out exactly like I envisioned, with my own little northern lights reflecting off the ceiling that even my wife admitted was pretty cool. And here's the view from the bed looking up. I really am excited to see how this product will do, because I personally think it could go down as their best-selling item ever, but only time will tell. And what I hope people also realize is that even if you don't want to use the Govee lights, you could easily swap it for whatever strip you want if you're already heavily invested into a WLED ecosystem. So for the final results, I'll be using my GMK Tech mini PC as my source, running through the Govee AI sync box to the TV, so I can get the Skyline and a couple other Govee products to sync up to the colors on the screen via their movie DreamView experience. Thank you all for watching, I hope you enjoy the final footage, and as always, have a blessed day.
Trying hard to fight these tears, I'm crazy about you. Trying hard to remember the good times, I'm crazy without you. Trying hard to walk away, but I can't live without you. Trying hard to face the truth, I'm nothing without you. And now I'm seeing all the same signs, trying hard to remember the good times. It's like I've known you for 1,000 lives. Baby, give us one more try. Can't believe it, how we got so distant, holding on for dear life. Is it gonna be different? And now I see it, it ain't getting better. Don't make me do this, 'cause forever's forever. And now I'm seeing was crazy.